Most of the Platte River system was a very wide and very shallow river system, meandering channels, multiple channels. The inch deep, mile wide, of course, is the phrase that you hear a lot about the pioneers' description of the Platte River. Unfortunately, with the invasion, especially of the Phragmites, it's choked those channels down. They can't spread out now, so they're real narrow. And as they got narrow, those channels had to cut deeper into the riverbed to handle the flow. We've been working or looking at Phragmites in particular since about the year 2000. The critical habitat area of the Platte River from Lexington to just downstream of Grand Island, a town called Chapman. That critical habitat area has been designated for critical habitat for whooping cranes, least terns, and piping plovers. All three of them are endangered or threatened species. Those species use open river channels to roost in the case of the whooping cranes. The least terns and piping plovers use bare sandbars in the river to nest on and rear young. And since we've seen this Phragmites invasion, those open channels and those bare sandbars have started to disappear, and in some places totally disappeared. Phragmites, the areas that it has taken over, it has totally taken over or created a monoculture in those areas. Purple loosestrife will do the same thing. By creating this monoculture, it eliminates all of the other native plant species in the area, and especially with Phragmites, the density and the height of these plants makes it virtually unusable for any type of wildlife. They can't walk through it. Once in a while you might see a bird land in the top of it. Part of using aquatic labeled herbicides, they are very strictly researched prior to being labeled for aquatic use. The particular herbicides that we've been using have no effects on wildlife, fish, humans, dogs, cats, birds. This particular herbicide only affects an enzyme that is found in plants. As far as useful for wildlife habitat, it just absolutely is not. The project I'm most familiar with is a project that's been done jointly. Covers basically from Lake McConaughey to Columbus. A pretty large area that we're looking at. This particular project, since the fall of 2007, when we did our first applications, has treated a little over 14,000 acres of invasive vegetation, primarily Phragmites. And that project has stretched over approximately 336 river miles. There's roughly 700 landowners involved in this project. We had nearly 100% acceptance on this project. Just a very small handful of folks had some concerns about the use of herbicides, and in a couple instances we did do just mechanical treatments on their properties. Right now we're only 2 seasons out from our first application that was done in 2007. That's a pretty short time frame. What we have seen of those applications looks very successful at this time. We now do aerial surveys of all of our treated areas once a year using helicopters and GPS camera systems. The NRCS program is called CCPI. That is a very viable option for landowners along the rivers to get funds to help control these invasive species. The weed management areas that have put together this funding to do these projects also are working with landowners to help them cost share with the NRCS programs on areas that may be outside of the river channel. Public awareness, educating landowners and the public about these types of concerns is always the best tool that we have to fight these battles.